I think it's just like a little 10-second.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
Hold on. Let me actually make more of my nose.
Recording in progress.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go.
Yep.
We're ready. Good evening. Welcome to our December IC meeting. Dennis, please call.
Okay, we're gonna go in reverse tonight. Like with the whole room, we're in reverse. Okay, I'm gonna recognize our Commissioner Rep Adam. We have engagement specialist Hannah to our left. South end we have Bill. Here's here and Kek. Welcome. Two Rivers has no reps. Nor does Rest. Park Place, Ryan. No mining Park Place. I mean, excuse me. Blocklet Delise. Hilladale will also combine with Tower Vista. So that's Sarah.
Here.
And here. Hazel Grove Mark. Here. And Chris. Yes, great. Gappy Lane, we have Betty. Here. And Dwayne. Healyville, we have Dorothy and Joy on Zoom, correct?
Here. Dorothy here.
Is Joy Allen out there?
I don't see Joy joining us.
Okay. Caulfield, we have Donna.
Here.
And John. Welcome back. And with Linda, with my chair. And I wanted to ask today, this is the ceremonial for me. This is my last roll call as secretary of the CIC. And without misfortune or like any urgency, I'm just deciding to step back. I've done this a number of years. There's a lot of new people coming in, new faces, and a lot of new energy. For myself, I'm just going to like fall back a little bit. I'm still going to be active within my community. I'm also very much going to stay and be vocal about the Pioneer Cemetery. For some of you who don't know, we've been fortunate to have two parks and a historic cemetery surrounding Grove, which has been quite a partner in that whole realm. And I'm definitely an advocate for preservation of that cemetery. So that's kind of where I'm at. I have the VIP portion within our neighborhood. We have found somebody to come in and take over and replace me. And when she is confirmed, her name is Rita. She would be a tremendous asset to our community there. I thought she might be here. I would have introduced her, but maybe she can't find this place. Things like that happen. So that's my spiel. Back to you.
All right. Been a great asset that I should be missed. Our first presentation tonight is Downtown Oregon City Association. That's a Zoom meeting. We have Juliana Allen. Take it away.
Everybody hear me?
Okay.
Okay. Okay, great. Thank you all so much for having me and for being accommodating to me being on Zoom. I really, really appreciate it. Okay, so I get asked very, very often, how are the businesses doing, right, in downtown? The courthouse moved out in May of this year. And, for the last several years, everybody has been like, how's it going to be? What's good? What's the impact going to be when the courthouse moves out of downtown? As you all know, the courthouse got, hundreds of people into the districts every day. So there was, for very valid reasons, a large concern about what was going to happen, what was going to be the impact, the economic impact for our businesses in the district when the courthouse moved out. They moved out in May, and I was getting this question a lot. And I have to say, it has taken a little while to shake out. And also, it really depends on what business you talk to. As much as that answer is annoying, there is not a general consensus on how the businesses are doing solely based on the courthouse moving. Some have obviously been impacted more than others. Those that relied on the foot traffic from the courthouse, the coffee shops, Coffee Rush, really, like we all knew that one was going to be impacted. And that held up. They have been able to kind of swing back up a little bit though, which has been really great. And other businesses that you talk to, their customers are incredibly happy to have more parking. So there's really not a very clear answer, and there's not a single answer on how the business district is doing since the move to the courthouse. So I'm going to give you the answer that it depends, and I'm fully aware that that's probably the most annoying answer ever. But they are doing their best, and as we can all, appreciate, the holiday time is a really big time, really important time for the district, for any small business. But in particular, the brick and mortar shops that are there, throughout the year doing the good things in the community. So we had Small Business Saturday this last weekend, and today was only Monday, and a lot of our shops are closed on Monday. I was hoping I could get a better read on how it went for a lot of our retailers before I talk to you all. But, many of them are closed on Mondays. So the ones that I have talked to, which is, again, not that many, have said it went really well. And we also, myself and the other person, Ryan, in my office, we were down there all day on Saturday. And it was really fun to see how many people were engaged in the district. There were people walking around and just, it was a very lively atmosphere. So if you went down there on last Saturday in particular, thank you very much. Okay, something else that has been a big part of the downtown lately has been our well-lit trees project, which I believe I spoke about last time I was here. So that, for anyone who missed that, that is a uplighting project that we received a Metro Enhancement Grant to do. And so it is placing 2 uplights like this in the trees, not in the trees, like right beside each of the tree wells along Main Street between 5th and 10th. We are doing it piece by piece, in different phases because of, we have to raise the funds as we go along in the grant. And we got the first block done. So we chose to do between 9th and 10th first because it just seemed like the most logical place to start. A lot of the traffic comes in either down Singer Hill or comes in, off of 99, right onto 10th and onto Main. So we kind of started with the gateway right there to downtown. And so if you have not seen the lights in the district, just got completed, right? Like the lights are just now functioning. So it is very exciting, and we'll be doing the next block as soon as we raise the amount of funds to do the next block. So we are excited about that. The holiday tree lighting is this coming Saturday from 4:30 to 7 o'clock in Liberty Plaza. The tree got put up today, which was also really fun to see. My office is right across the street from Liberty Plaza. And so I got to watch them put up the holiday tree, and that was neat. I've never actually seen them do it before. So the shout out to Public Works. They always do a really great job. So if you're around on Saturday, we would love to see you there. And I'm going to leave it open for questions. I'm happy to answer anything going on, anything I can answer about downtown.
Are there any questions? Tim.
Hi, Juliana. I have a question about the courthouse roof or review. What is Joga's take on it?
Joga doesn't have a take. I have the take of what all the businesses have said. And by and large, the overwhelming majority are incredibly excited about it. Very much looking forward to bringing new life into the district is what I have heard. That is by and large what the business district is looking forward to. They are ready to see it move forward, and they're really glad that it's not going to be sitting vacant.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any holiday plans for downtown, or have I missed it? Or
Yeah, so we had Small Business Saturday last weekend. This coming Saturday is the tree lighting. So if you, starts at 4:30 in Liberty Plaza. We've got carolers, a jazz band, Santa, the whole thing. So that is this Saturday, December 6th, starting at 4:30.
Okay.
Mhm.
Is there any other questions? We thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it.
Yes. Thank you very much for having me. Good.
All right.
Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And then we have Kelly Hart, the Community Development Center.
Ellie, I'm gonna have one around this way because I'm gonna make an announcement. Since we have loose cords, I don't want anybody traversing it in the middle. Things I don't want anybody to traverse. So you can give a prime example. I don't know the best thing to do. Well, good evening, everybody. I just wanted to come and introduce myself. I am the new community development director for the city. Taking over for Aquila, who left in April, I think, of this year. And so it's been an absolute pleasure to be here. I was asked to sort of, I guess, tell a little bit about myself and give a little resume. So, I have a bachelor's degree in urban planning, so it kind of goes directly with the job. And a master's degree in environmental sciences. And then I was kind of itching to go back to school, so I'm in the middle of getting my second master's degree for the executive master's of public administration as well. So I'm kind of pulling double duty, doing the full-time job of going to school. So kind of love school. But before I started here, I was in the city of Lebanon, down in Lynn County for 6 years. And that was a nice little mid-sized rural community. And before that, don't judge me too harshly, I was born and raised in Southern California. I worked for a really small but mighty community that was 3.1 square miles and 40,000 residents of the city of Stanton. And so I kind of got this really great opportunity to work in lots of different types of communities. But the size of the community of Oregon City and the sort of experience of Oregon City of sort of being on the fringe, but also in the urban area was kind of the happy sweet spot of what I love to do as a planner. So I got the really urban area and I got the real rural area. And when Oregon City opened up, I thought that's exactly where I want to be. And I have been so blessed to be here, and I'm super excited to work with you all. And every day that I've been here so far has just been very exciting. So I am happy to try to answer any questions. I'm still learning a lot, but I'm looking forward to getting to know all of you. Thank you. And I was told to keep it short. So, anyone else that
Have any questions?
How long have you been here? I have been here for just over 2 months, sort of, but I guess exactly 2 months. But for about 2.5 weeks, I was actually in Thailand for my school trip. So really just about 6 weeks. So yeah, still very green.
Did you relocate?
So I actually live in Salem. So I was traveling and commuting for Lebanon as well. So my husband works at Salem. So we're still figuring out where we want to be ultimately. Yeah.
Kim?
Kelly, it's nice to meet you. Thank you for being here. I had a question. What is your background in historic architecture, being as we're such a historic city? Do you have a comfort level or feeling about that?
Lebanon had over 100 properties in historic preservation as well. And so we had a historic program. And Stanton did not at all. So it was definitely a new program that we had to run and get used to in Lebanon. I used to want to be an architect when I was a kid. And so historic preservation was very much so near and dear to my heart. And so it's something that I was really excited to be able to pursue in Lebanon. And so we were able to really increase and rebuild that when I got there. And so it's a program that I'm pretty used to.
And Bill?
I answered them. What's your typical day like? Who calls you? Who do you call? Who do you service? Or
That is changing every day right now. So right now, I am very much so focused internally on getting to know my staff, making sure that I am here and available for my department, and making sure that I get an understanding of the inner workings of the department first. And as I continue to grow in an understanding of the city, a lot of the interactions is going to be with community members, developers, commissioners, planning commission, city commission, getting a good understanding of what the community wants and needs, so that when they are starting to help draft and develop policy, that we do it in the manner in which the community wants. And so it's really a lot of outreach on my end, and a lot of input. But right now, it's really an internal focus based off of what's needed, I think, in the department right now.
Yeah.
I'll keep it short, so I'll be available if anybody needs me, and I'm my contact information.
Don't see any other questions. Thank you very much. We appreciate you coming back. Thank you. Josh Weeder.
And Dee Dee, I just want to check in with you. How are you hearing us over Zoom?
Say that again? How am I what? How am I hearing you so far with all this?
Yeah.
As each presentation and each person speaks clearly, I'm hearing everything. I couldn't unmute quick enough to give an ADJOURNMENT plug, but it was really unnecessary. So it was the fates. Hi, Josh.
That's it's a parent. Yeah. Okay. Here for staying on the agenda. Yes. We're down and stayed on prepared with the revisions to 6211, but I wanted to do a plug for that. Starting today, if anyone tried to go to Westland, it probably wasn't very fun to get there. So if you don't know about that, I want to make you aware now. Get it out to your community members. Those Arch Bridge going over to Westland is one lane for like the next 10 or more days. And this is a part of ODON's VOAD project. And they had to do that for traffic control and construction reasons. It may take longer than 2 weeks. Keep a look on their website. You type in I-205 project in Google anywhere, you'll find their website and they have construction updates there. We're also going to be experiencing I-205 shut down between 99 and I think it's 213, even though they're signing them on the highway already, trying to express that to people between like 11 at night, 5 in the morning or something like that this coming weekend. So keep an eye on that if you happen to travel over 9 or if you go to West Slim. We try to put some things on social media to tell people as well. I'm just trying to get the word out as much as we can. The reason I'm here, though, it's actually for a code amendment. So back in the summer, the Oregon legislature adopted what's called House Bill 2658. And what that bill did was it requires cities to exempt development from frontage improvements when the cost of the development is less than $150,000 and where the total building square footage does not increase. In Oregon City's case, we already had exempted development when the square footage is not increasing. So you're doing a remodel inside your house that you're not changing the impact upon the roadway system, which is what the frontage improvements are for. And so therefore it was already exempt. But what was not exempt was any project where the cost is $150,000 or less. So this would be an example of, let's say that a house, or let's say put a manufactured ADU in the cost less than $150,000. So a bad example is ADUs are exempt. Let's say that you're doing expansion on your house. It is doubling the size of your house, but because it's a small house, it's only cost you $150,000. Normally, we would require furniture improvements if you double the size of your house because of the impact that you're making. We're now required to exempt that when that costs $150,000 or less.
So in your night tonight, we all I provided was the one sheet that is the red line that shows that we have added that the cost of the alteration is less than $150,000 as pre-session. We made it explicit just to make sure that any improvement for the total building square footage does not increase. We placed in the code just as a crossing a T and dotting I situation. And then accessory dwelling units were exempt, but it was in the wrong section of the code, so we just moved it to make it cleaner and in graphics. So as part of the legislative file that's in the development code, it requires us to come before a public meeting. And so we're here tonight to do what the code says. If you have any questions, I'm here for that.
Are there any questions? Tim.
Why ADUs or why are they exhausted? I mean, to me, you're putting it as an individual housing unit, and you're causing parking issues. You're causing additional sewer hookups, potentially to patchy water. So why is that being exempted?
So, Chief, the question, I wasn't at the legislature. I don't know why they did what they did, but yes. The last 4 years that Scott 2020, we have found that the Oregon legislature has been passing law after law that is making more housing options and making it less expensive for people to develop. So is this the added housing, reducing costs? They tried to actually exempt SDCs, but that didn't make that a committee. Some cities have already tried to do that. So there's a lot of things that they're trying to do to make it more affordable in their eyes. And this is one way that they thought they can do that. That's my opinion based on how they've been passed laws.
I can understand that would be affordable to the builder, or the property owner, but it impacts the city. It impacts each one of us as a taxpayer because we got to create a sewer system that works. We got to create an electrical system that works. I mean, so it just needs that. Just my opinion. A lot of questions, and they're not traditional as a neighbor because you have to get more than that a lot. But it seems to be helping to promote infill. That
would be my assumption based on how I've seen the model being passed. It tends to get infill going. Not only just basic infill, but denser infill.
So how to be attached to the existing house, and it could be a separate unit. Sound like it either one is okay.
In this situation, it's I think it could be either way. I'm not sure I can think of a scenario where it wouldn't be detached. So it's probably going to be attached just for the cost of things. I just doubt. I guess if someone brought a modular home in at a lower cost, that potentially could get that threshold. But a single stick build, probably not. I don't think you can show anything to that as anyone.
Like how take a separated garage to conversion.
Those type of situations can occur. Most of the time, those are ADUs, so they're already exempt. Okay, yeah. In theory, they could have a detached duplex, which would become a single family if that garage is larger than the ADU size. So it's just if it's what you define it as, and then code defines which one to switch.
What powers do you have at the counter when people come in and they live in the Accomodations area, where we don't have improved street pavements, we don't have curbs, gutters, sidewalks, platter strips, or is there something that flags you? This is, hey, we're in Accomodations, the street address, or how does that happen?
Yes, so the way we implement this code, it's different in every neighborhood in the city. The more urban neighborhoods get the full-fledged roadways. The ones that are kind of old neighborhoods get something in the middle where it's maybe smaller but still get amenities. Sometimes they don't get amenities if there's no sidewalk and we're close. If it's infill, if it's a new subdivision, that's a different story. It will have its own. Because in some like Nemo, where there's very little infrastructure, we don't require them to add infrastructure, and if it takes away from the historic nature of it. and there's just no way physically it's ever going to occur with the kind of funding that exists. And there's a process called a modification that we send people through, which isn't tied to process that requires public hearing. So if you're near any of the infills and they're not doing what the code says, then they have to go through the modification process, which creates a public notice.
Okay. Are there any other questions? Thank you very much. It's always a pleasure.
And here,
Clackamas County Voluntary Organizations Active in Disaster Group.
oh, Jen is going to join me up here. Sounds like many of you know Jenna Norton. She is our Red Cross global, almost regional contact. I'm going to introduce you, Jen. Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay.
I always pass out pamphlets. Go right. Yeah. I'll be happy.
Thanks.
That would be great. I appreciate that, Ken. Here you go.
All right.
Is it okay if I introduce you? My name is the one and the only job to infamous. Yeah, not only do you work with the Clackamas County as one of our directors, you're also with Red Cross. Yeah, represents a partner things.
And then I'm also involved with the faith community with the ecumenical ministries of Oregon. And I'm going to be 2 weeks ready coordinator, trainer for preparedness OEM's program that will probably touch a little bit on. But I am Clackamas County Government Ops liaison. So if the Red Cross is activated within Clackamas County, I will be one of the command groups facilitating sheltering, making sure everybody's safe, sanitary, secure.
Yeah, thank you. And so we'll talk a little bit about this idea of the liaisons. Some coordination with this county VOAD, which we'll talk a little bit about, and hopefully in some detail. How much time we wait out?
That's a question for your chair.
Yeah, let's just go about 30 minutes or so. Can you talk for 30 minutes?
I want to leave room for questions. So, I'd love to talk about how this applies to neighborhood associations, and I'll give you my quick introduction. I'm Pat Wilson, the Executive Director and Co-Founder of Clackamas County Voluntary Organizations Active in Disaster. I've been here in Oregon City since 1975. I moved to Caulfield Road in 1975, went to get out Lane School, moved to Fair Road, and then went to Park Place School, and then Ogden, and then Oregon City High School. So I have born and raised, almost born and indefinitely raised in Oregon City. So I have a lot of care and passion for this city, but also for Clackamas County. So starting out, I'll talk about the mission and introduction of who we are and our structure and our beginnings. I'll go through that quickly, and then our network, and then from there, our partners want to sign up, and this is where we'll talk about resilience hubs. Okay. So our mission, you can see here, is to coordinate a network of voluntary organizations that work together, and this is many organizations, to encourage efficient delivery service to people affected by immediate, intermediate, long-term disasters in Clackamas County. So that it's really full scope from the onset of a disaster to long-term recovery, provide for the lost house to a wildfire, and it takes years to recover. We're involved in not working in detail. And then intermediate disasters, as you can imagine, must then refer to our ice storm of some years ago, where we in Oregon City were without power for some of us weeks. And
And so even that needs and the disaster was incredible. Sheltering demand was very high. The need for everything from just heat to stay warm all the way up to do you want me to just keep presenting?
You keep presenting. I'm all
It's a piece of-
what can I do?
That's great. That's great. And then we'll fast forward to the slides when we get there. So the intermediate phase of disaster can sometimes be one that requires so much collaboration, coordination with our partner organizations. And as you can imagine, we have a lot of people that need shelter, they need electricity, they need evacuation, they need every manner of service. And so we're involved in that intermediate phase. We'll talk about our partners and who we work with and collaborate with. Our men words, our disaster coordinator couldn't be here tonight. She's a little bit under the weather. But she her skill set is incredible. So she does and has been involved in overseas missions and mass care. And also knows with Clackamas County as do I with our mass care and mass evacuation and mass sheltering groups. And so we also have that table help to develop that plan. So it's like I like to refer to it as a suit to nuts, how to evacuate, the scale of the evacuation is that how to provide food services and everything in the way of a massive disaster, not just a low scale disaster.
But I'd like to say too, in regards to the VOADs that are developing across the state, we're blessed in Clackamas County in that we have a wonderful working relationship with Clackamas County disaster managers and are fully supporting them all, the different organizations that have been active in disaster. Absent that, what would happen is that a disaster would be false, and you'd have a bunch of scattered cats trying to get herded together into one working entity. And that's where the Clackamas County VOAD comes into play, is that during the blue sky times, we all will come together, have working relationships, doing planning, getting to know the skill sets that are unique within the different communities or the organizations that want to stand up in times of disaster to be supportive of their citizens. But and without the structure of having a COAD or a VOAD in place, they would be working parallel to one another versus being knitted together. And that's the concept that Oregon is looking towards trying to have, is that within every county, it would be absolutely a blessing that every single county would have a COAD or a VOAD structure in place that is already knitted into the county disaster reduction. Being Red Cross, we don't self-deploy. We have to get called into a situation, which is a major stumbling block for a lot of folks because they look around and they go, where's the Red Cross? Well, unless we've been requested or invited in, we don't self-deploy, not like FEMA. But with FEMA and with Clackamas County, we probably will never hit those thresholds because of the lack of population and the number of structures. Now, we could burn from the river all the way up to Mount Hood. But if there's not enough structures that were impacted, FEMA does not have a trigger point that they would come in. So that's the challenge of Oregon in regards to having FEMA come in to be like they probably see on the news when they come into town down in Florida or in California with their devastated fires. So I think we should.
Yeah, well said.
Okay.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, but up to the growth structure, so we'll talk about that a little bit.
a vote, and we are a 501c3, so not all VOADs or COADs are 501c3. We elected to go that direction just because we wanted to be able to function completely as a voluntary organization, active disaster that is not affiliated with a government agency. We work with side by side with our partners and our government agencies, but we are our own organization, and our orientation is to serve the community. So that is why we are a 501c3. The intent is to be frankly integrated with Oregon VOAD and national VOAD. So this model is stamped out at the state and the national level so that we can program resources to our area. So that's the intent. We have a governing board who has been with us since the beginning. Most of our board members, but we have 8 board members currently. We do have in our bylaws set 9 board members, 3 officers of the corporation, an executive director, myself, which is hard to on water to be in that role again. Then our disaster management coordinator, for our beach disaster preparedness partner engagement and coordination with local and state agencies. So we're constantly involved in our local community and constantly involved at the state level. And when we can resource we do to other counties, for example, Rowena, and then they lost 62 homes in their wildfire in June. That's a little town between River and the Dalles, and it's General Bernal being to serve that disaster. And we've been blessed to raise, I don't even know if you know this yet, but $311,000 for programming through our partners to Rowena. And we're really honored to be able to do that. So we weren't these guys, we're exercising disaster preparedness responsible in that way. So we'll talk a little bit about our partners, which I'm really honored to be able to share so about partners. But we can go to the next slide. Art of the Games, and some of you have heard this story. Still in the Reader's Digest version. We were found in 2020, myself and the disaster management coordinator for Clackamas County, who is now our deputy director, Jamie Poole, myself, and one other found in CC or BOTRG. And it was during COVID. If you remember what that was like, there was no resources moving anywhere. Most of the major disaster relief organizations weren't traveling, and so therefore you couldn't really go out of free resources. So we immediately stood up an integrated building organization within our what is called a long-term recovery organization, so state nonprofit. And then we programmed everything we needed to build houses, get funds for survivors who lost homes without insurance, and then also just individual household needs, you name it. We also raised over $1 million, but then in the number of donations that we raised, we didn't even calculate that. But for example, our first house was completely donated. Materials, labor, everything, all donated. We didn't have to raise a dime for it. That was your community in action. So we're really, really, really proud of that. We went on to serve 165 survivors in 2020 wildfire in our neighbors just outside of the rural areas. And we're able to fully meet their needs if those needs weren't duplicated. And we served those survivors, and we met those needs. And we were the very first wildfire recovery period. So our recovery really took 3 years because we were extremely adamant about partners. So that was our beginnings. And I want to leave room for a few questions. Hopefully our time's good. They cut me off. Run late. Our transitions. What's that? The next slide. Thank you. Of our transition from what I call the long-term recovery group, it was really somewhat of a FEMA-sponsored startup. They came They do normally come to any federally declared disaster and they remiss their model. And their model was called LTRG. We adopted everything we could of their model. And then we partnered with organizations to stand up a state nonprofit. But then we transitioned after our recovery was over and transitioned to the VOAD. So we still have the LTRG within our organization and it is still active. They're flexing their muscling arena in partnership with Oregon VOAD. But VOAD is really focused very much on preparedness, response, and recovery. Heavily focused on preparedness. So how can that apply to your organizations, your neighbor organizations? Essentially, our focus is in resourcing your community with preparedness tools, communication tools. We know about you, you know about us, you know what to ask us for. We're in partnership with you, and then we're equipping your community with tools like Be 2 Weeks Ready, which Jan, nutshell, can explain, and then you can see in our handouts. Our core values, you could see of our really what we call 4C of communication, cooperation, collaboration, and communication. Got values, but there they are. These are our core values. We focus on doing this and doing this well. We're a convening organization, so our focus is to do these 4 things and do them very well. And the biggest gap, as Jed noted in her presentation, is communication is the first thing to go. And sometimes, literally, communicational networks are the first thing to go. So that's why one of our networks, Say Radio, a nonprofit that works and has an office right here in Clackamas, we develop ways to communicate to you during disaster period. If you go to ccvoad.org, you can see all our active blogging about what's going on, what we've been doing throughout the year, and then their ability to sign up and get our newsletters, which are very helpful, very informative. For example, our key relationships, of course, Clackamas County Disaster Management, Oregon Emergency Management, VOAD. I am the president of VOAD, so you have an advantage. We're working really hard to be vertically integrated with National VOAD and then FEMA. So these are our partners. We still have in the Valles, they are working with us, and so they're, so we're working with them. And then our community-based organizations are faith-based. We have many faith-based organizations and NGOs, non-government organizations and community-based organizations. On the next slide, this is a snapshot of the ones who are actively registered with us this year. And you fall off the list if you don't update your registration, because we want to know who's being communicated with and who are working with it closely. And we also have 20 other long-term disaster organizations that are on our inactive partners list because we're not doing any vote. You can stay on that slide if you want to keep considering that for a minute, and I'll just share with you the monthly partners meeting. We have a monthly partners meeting that we can set out the meeting schedule for any of you that want to attend those meetings. It's very helpful, valuable information. One of the things I do love about it is we have really good turnout. We have updates coming from the county, just general updates from all of our organizations, and we are working with and collaborating with one another so that we are actually on the same page during disaster, but we all have the same voice, and that's a sort of one that's a survivor to lend you these resources. And then we don't have organizational dissidence, if you will, or disagreements. We're all kind of the same lives. And so information sharing, keeping informed on partner capabilities, upcoming events, and county emergency management updates.
preparedness planning and collaborating on shared goals, training opportunities, and coordinated efforts would strengthen community readiness. So that I'm not bragging, but I'm going to brag for a minute. We are one of the most prepared counties, and so well, not the only ones who saying it, but we are. And so you can be proud of that. And we work diligently to be at that level of readiness all the time. So when we do have a disaster, we've been preparing for that. And it's not if, it's when.
And that's being generous too, or not being generous enough. Then in that we're becoming a resource for other counties that have got organizations that have maybe not evolved beyond long-term recovery groups. That those are the folks that under a disaster happens, and that they come in and help through the long-term recovery. That can entail anything from building a new home to just getting prepared for the next disaster that comes. And the evolution is it's usually a disaster hits, then the immediate response comes in, and then like everything on our one slide, everyone goes home, and it's the power of 10. It's the matter of that, and disaster happens, and let's say it's 10 days. After 10 days, the initial recovery is by the power of 10. So it's 100 days for you to get back into your home, get things back to semi-normal. But the long-term recovery is another power of 10. So it's over 1,000 days. So that's over years. So long-term recoveries have morphed into the COAS and the VOAS that I alluded to earlier. And right now, Clackamas County VOAD is noted across the state in that we're helping facilitate some of these long-term recovery groups start their process into becoming COAS and VOAS, and using our structures and our mistakes and our learning curves and getting with their disaster community gel together and try to work within the government structure within that specific county. With every county, there's a whole little disaster government agency that is overseen by OEM, Oregon Emergency Management. And some folks you can imagine that there's a little bit of resistance because you're walking into their door with an entire group of folks coming behind you saying, we're here to help. And they're worrying that the cats are incubating the house and skirting the cats. So with our reputation of being able to bridge those possible stumbling points for newly formed COAS and OADs, it's helping the entire state. It helps all of us because the first responders are going to be your neighbors. That's the reality of it. And so what we'd like to do is to have every community, every neighborhood become fully trained in regards to preparedness, be able to map their community, who's got the chainsaw, who's got the generators, who's the tool guy, who's the organizer within that community. And you go through that process. That will come out.
Absolutely. And today you started to allude to the most vulnerable one, then those who are resourcing, the community, which is a really key. I'm just going to land this thing actually right now because I thought we've gone through B. So the what sign up for COAT or VOAT is my big pitch. And so I hope that there's some value that you see there for your community. I know that during the ice storm, I live on Thayer Road, and the entire road was blocked off by trees. Trees had fallen. We actually had 3 inches of ice, and so a few of us were cutting our way apple and making a way for our neighbors to get out. And we all know each other. We know Ruth House what, and we know Gora Laurel, our neighbors are, and that's who you are. And that's what you know. So by getting involved with us, we can help resource you. We're not trying to figure it out for you. You're the experts. We're here to serve you. You tell us what you need, and we resource that need. And then we also love, like, you have best practice. You can share with the community how you're doing it. We have a really good community up in the Mount Hood corridor. They have a really strong neighborhood association. They've shared more best practices with us than I can remember. But I'm gonna give you right there. Maybe there's some questions for either Jenna or myself, and getting the truest possible for house lock.
It's very good. Any questions? Mark.
And about, how are you guys primarily funded?
So we are funded through grants, and we work very hard for those grants. We're currently funded by OCF, the Fort Family Foundation, VOAD, a small grant from VOAD, and some of my private sector business friends as well fund us. So we've got enough funding to go all the way through 26 as is. We have one page to our data boats. Yeah.
Oregon Emergency Management, OEM,
OED,
you'll see on the switch from.
Oregon Community Foundation.
Yeah.
We can carry state grants and half as well from, OGs as well. We call them SUHSTs. What else?
Tim?
There's been a lot to try and get into Larry's short amount of time, so I will be doing more research on it, but I'm interested. So basically, you're looking for us and niggers to participate in your organization and as a volunteer to develop a plan for our new sign of it. Absolutely.
Yeah, and the facilitation of that can be through Be 2 Weeks Ready, which is a OEM program. It's a 9-chapter, 9 individual steps. Eight individual chapters and trainings. With the Red Cross, I also do Red Cross preparedness training. The reality is that the Red Cross, preparedness training kind of brings people to the threshold, because getting prepared can be kind of intimidating and scary for folks. So the Red Cross, the training that I do with them, just kind of gets people to cross into the threshold of being aware that I need to be prepared. And then you present them with this big document that they need to do on their own. So after the training, they go away, and that's supposed to happen. And it's not happening. And so that's why I got involved also with Be 2 Weeks Ready, which is an OEM program. They got a program several years ago, and they wrote a grant to revise it. And the concept is that OEM down in Salem trains coordinators across the state. And I was one of the initial coordinators. And the idea is that a coordinator would then go into their local community and train hosts. So when I look at the structure of neighborhoods, it would be wonderful to have a trained host that would coordinate up through the ranks, and then they report out to OEM. As the concept is, overall, that everyone's gone to these trainings, is that OEM will be able to pull up addresses and see who's gone through the training, so they know where these pockets of empowered, trained folks are, and be able to deploy resources in the time of a major disaster.
Yeah, so we have certified trainers for your communities. We're at close by or Jenna. So that's one way to.
So we would have a training in how you become qualified within your neighborhood up to 2 weeks or PID.
Yeah, so great. I mean, we've had training from the fire district, the Labrador, and we've had a lot of us have had these people in and done great. But what I find happens tends to it's like that was great information, thanks, and nothing gets done.
Right.
Which is what you're saying, and that's what's happening and certainly in our neighborhood, and I'm sure others. And we're ready to do it again for our next year in maybe January or March, something like that. So we're talking about doing another preparedness to be ready or promote or program. And so I would ask you, what's the, rather than going individually to each of these organizations, what's the best way to do that? So you get with the best information, with visuals. What is a 10-day or a 15-day box look like? Okay, with a
we're just to make sure I respect time. If you need time, we'll get them. If you want to, if you tell us what you're looking for, we could collaborate with you on meeting you. We need very targeted solution to your need.
Best of early days.
Yeah.
So we could take your information to our next steering meeting that we have every neighborhood and perhaps get that started with having a meeting so we could get some people in our little pockets, because every little neighborhood is different as to what we have, topography of the neighborhood, how we're located to.
And I encourage you to go online and just Google E2 Weeks Ready, Oregon, and you can see the entire program. And that'll give you a touchy point in regards to what chapters it is that you feel that your individual community would get.
And if you want to sign up for CC VOAD, sign up to become a partner. It's nothing. It's to attend the monthly calls, so you could really get them to speed with who our partners are. You can reach out to our partners directly, so that network works within itself. So if you see things that you need from our partners, you can gather that information and reach out.
And I can share this PowerPoint presentation because I know in the beginning there, we had some technical difficulties and we weren't able to get there today. So I'd be happy to share that out with everybody as well. Personally.
Any other questions? Bill?
Is the website, does it have possible things like those best practices documents or spell?
If it's not there, we can get that for you.
Yeah.
Because we do have a pretty big repository. Right now, we just been focusing on current activities. But there are so many resources. You asked, we'll get it for you. Yeah.
Yeah, I look to consolidate good ideas from a lot of places and then give out a consolidated presentation.
Absolutely.
For the big part.
Yeah, that's great. It's great.
So based on the success of Tam's organizations, the ORC prep workshop they put on, we got excited to get from the lane, and we were able to bring Janet Norton to speak to us back in May, which went awesome. And I encourage everybody to look into our come out presentation, full presentation at your own meetings as being it's such a great step. And the next thing we'll do is our next steering meeting is Frankfurt Block Church, the Lutheran Church, by the Dark Hall there by Winco on Myers. Her daughter happens to be the pastor in there, and it's actually in Gabriel neighborhood. I like this beautiful house that we leave. So in case of a major calamity, we're looking for a place that you'll walk to from home. And it's going to be a perfect fit for us. So we're grateful for that. Thanks for coming.
We love some information, Sheriff, from you, Tim, on what you've done to be so successful in your association.
Well, I appreciate that comment about our success. Like I said, we got a lot of positive feedback from everybody that was there, and I just don't know what had done. I mean, some people got real excited and went right out, started getting their water and doing all the things they need to do. But when you talk to people as they go on, I meant to do that. I haven't quite. But if the period breaks come, you're not going to have change. So that was the. But we want to do it. We want to try and do it every year, and we want to do it sooner.
That's like a resiliency top. Resiliency top without really having a label on top of it. But that's would be wonderful that every neighborhood would look at themselves as being the resiliency hub within for their acres.
if we could talk at another date on resiliency hubs too, because that's something that's sponsored also by Firearms Academy. And we look to show that one that and love to talk about that. We can go on grab and yeah, that's it time.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Are there any public comments? Anything anybody wants to add, say anything that's not on the agenda? Any public comments? Do you want to say anything that's not on the agenda? Do you want to add anything to the agenda or no? Okay. Approval of minutes. Did we all get time to look at the minutes? Are there any additions or corrections?
Approval.
Is that it? All in favor?
Aye.
Approved.
Aye.
Communication, social media working group.
We don't have enough data on the Hollywood Boston data about January. Okay. I don't have any date or any time for that yet.
Staff report.
I will keep it short and sweet. Everything is within the agenda packet, regular updates. The only thing that I will emphasize is that you plan on continuing your CIC membership. You have not submitted an application within the past year. Please make sure to submit your application online. In my follow-up email, I'll provide the link again. I'll touch base with a couple of people about getting meeting minutes too, but everybody, all the neighborhood associations have been really honest, so I really appreciate it. Buddy, too.
All right, very good.
So, if you get it in over the weekend, I have to wait for the city recorder staff to be able to submit it. We'll touch base after. Are there any questions about the budget? At all? No. Do we want to tackle the February and March?
I think we should, because February might realize that they were not a cat.
I was printing out the agenda.
Yeah.
Within the so that's a store we have.
January.
Pull it up.
February.
Well, we already issued.
Okay. So February, it looks like it's Kanema and Park Place at meetings. The 19th to the 23rd. That's a Thursday, dear. On Monday.
And the 23rd. And then in March, we have March 5th with, I believe, Globman. And March 10th, which I believe is Evil.
And then the Hazel Grove on the 12th.
Yes.
Gaffney Lane and the 17th and Caulfield on the 18th.
So the proposed days that I had was for February for McLaughlin and Gaffney Lane to be included within that February mailing, and a postcard deadline of February 6th and mailed out in residents' mailboxes affiliated on February 18th. I realize that's very early in advance for some of the neighborhood associations. Again, any savings is great. I also understand that these schedules aren't always achievable for all the neighborhood associations of all.
It's just like
February 6th. With give this date again. You're going
February 6th would be a particular information postcard design deadline. In mailboxes at the latest, February 18th.
So 2 days.
that's okay. We do it the next day. Yeah, it could be fine. I think that would be fine with Kanema. I will pass that on to our secretary, who has been overwhelmed with a very ill spouse, and our chair should be able to do that for an early.
Well, so just to note, if it's Kanema and Park Place,
Yes.
that's Kanema will save, a little bit by getting with art voice, but it's not going to be all much.
Well, we're little, we'll be like, oh, yeah. I'm hoping to have a free ice cream social.
Oh.
Hannah, yes, I it is now having like a psychologist. And so that you said that public on in between our meeting was the 27th. So okay, I ain't going. But on your March meeting.
March meeting.
Yeah, 18th, is that 18th, and yeah,
We already sent that last time.
yeah. So that would be Gaffney Lane on the 17th and Caulfield on the 18th, and there's a March.
But going back to February, just to confirm, it sounds like, again, none of this is signed, seal, and everyone has to adhere to. It's really just
No, it's wrong.
me being hitting direction from the citizen involvement committee so that I can make sure that all the neighborhood associations are properly informed. And if they adhere to it and they can make that deadline work, great, thumbs up. If they can't, it's okay because everybody's budget is for their postcards. So for the February date, billing out, this includes Kanema, Gaffney Lane, McLaughlin, and Hart Place. It's a fire.
It's fine with our books.
Very like all what number 2 today, whatever that one is.
Hold on, segment. No.
That would be in Dane and Man's notes.
Yeah, okay with that.
A couple days.
Yeah, said it was.
You see, the Marches.
Oh, with that, huh?
We can ball, or we can push just that.
And that's still a ways off there, so we're.
Is we want to wait until January?
Yeah, we can think about a month.
And yeah, absolutely. Okay, so going back to February, it seems like I got nods of consistency from Kanema,
Hart Place, is
Hart Place.
McLaughlin.
Yeah, I know that.
No, that is funny.
Yeah.
Still.
Okay. You also have Gillyville.
Dee Dee and Joy. I know there's an iPhone that joined. Was that Joy?
I don't know that. I don't see her. And but I'm texting her back and forth. So I'm assuming that's me, the iPhone. Joy, is that you? But anyway, what's the January deadline? I gave her the wrong deadline in February.
From my understanding, Elyville was not having a meeting in January.
We were having one in March. So would that be the February deadline you said for the 6th of April?
For your March 10th meeting, the deadline would be February 6th. And then it would be in residents' mailboxes by February 18th at the latest.
Perfect. That's just what I told her. Great. Thank you so much.
Yeah. And Dee Dee, again, I always make sure to convey, communicate the information out to those individuals who are responsible for making those cards. Because I know that it's not always the ones who are present at these meetings. Okay. For March, which includes Caulfield, Gaffney Lane, Hazel Grove. Yeah, Caulfield, Gaffney Lane, and Hazel Grove. March 2nd would be the postcard deadline, and the latest arrival in residents' mailboxes would be in March 11th.
March 11th?
Yes.
Get the draw. So
Because they're the 12th.
Because they got them not really.
well, buy it, you spend $7 or less than 24 hours. No, but
Well, again, that's the latest, right? That's the latest date. That's not necessarily.
It's open to
you work.
They always seem to come a little bit, a few days earlier than the latest.
That's you have your money. If you need more notice, say, when that doesn't work for me and we're not going to do it. So you do you.
You got also some plans.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
okay. Getting documents. I know I appreciate everybody working through this and on this. And again, there definitely has been savings that not just the neighborhood associations, but the citizen involvement committee in general experience. So I appreciate everybody cooperation and work.
So we move on to the round table. Is that all the discussion we need? Other one?
Yeah, Carol was just
Okay. Sorry, Linda. I was reading chat.
Okay. Yeah.
meeting me. Thank you.
Are we on to the next?
We're on to the next one. Yeah.
Meeting room accommodations.
This room works. I would have more notice that it was going to be here. How does everyone else feel about it? It's hard. Yeah, it is.
So
Over there.
part of it was not planned to meet in this. It was a plan to be a topic of discussion, but I wasn't planning on us for meeting in this room until the January meeting, if that's what the CIC decided. Unfortunately, the projector within the Mount Hood room or the commission room went kaput, and so it was a last-minute scramble before I got the agenda out to everybody of like, okay, do I want to bank on waiting if there's going to be staff that's going to be out the week in advance before Thanksgiving? And so it was decided that, you know what, hey, we'll just let them create accommodations, have them in here. You were able to do a test run, but there's no better test run than an in-person. So this is provided is like introspect for me. I know that it was, the idea was to be able to have a larger projector, which we brought in. Obviously, there are some technical difficulties with that. So I think that TV is the more reliable output. Sound is coming out through the TV okay. I know it was a little bit less for the projector as well. But really, the reality of the situation is that the Citizen Involvement Committee has grown, which is great because it means that we're getting much larger participation from all of the neighborhood associations. The commission chambers within limited only had 16 wireless mics. The largest committee that has met in there is the budget committee, which has taken up all 16 by default. If we're thinking about not only the Citizen Involvement Committee as it is presently, but potentially growing to 22, 24 representatives with other seats needed for myself and Commissioner Morrow and Commissioner Scott on the back, then staff was thinking wider of, okay, what's the room that's going to be able to accommodate that many individuals in the most equitable arrangement?
And so, is there any possibilities of like getting another TV?
I had to make that comment. Scott, I did not hear a word you said.
Josh.
I just got that.
I said, is there a possibility of getting another TV? That way, maybe we could bring them up closer, or have one maybe in the center, and then maybe one.
And harmonics. Because it's hard to, I couldn't hear very much that presentation.
Well, there's nothing coming out here.
We could, for the presenters, having a microphone just in the room as is to be able to display out better. Like,
I'm getting any sound out of that broadcasting to hear.
but for just in the room as is.
That would help a lot because their voice is very, so a lot of them softer. And you have people on login, so yeah, they can, that's very tough microphones for them.
And then I agree with Josh, another TV on the other side so we can see, because we're back and forth and moving. And as soon as I move, everyone else is moving. Yeah, you can't hear them. Yeah.
Yes, and I can move it up as well. There has been discussion about, okay, if this is going to be a meeting place for the Citizen Involvement Committee, what are other projections? And that is something that has been discussed. Again, these are all very preliminary conversations.
What's the expectation on the being here until it's like,
Well,
how long are we going to be down here?
So, but the discussion is because of the growth of the committee. Because of the growth of the committee, we have we can, but we're pretty crowded in there. We don't have enough microphones. All those kind of things.
and I will tell you too, then there's larger staff discussions of, okay, the commission chambers or it's the output room.
Sweet, thank you so much. Oh, sorry.
At least he's there's been discussion of that no longer needs to serve as an official commission chambers. It's not a commission chambers anymore. The commission meet over at the public safety building at Lynch, right over it. So what in the future, what does that room need to look like? How can it better accommodate the committees and the meeting groups that we have? There does not need to be a formal dais because that takes some of the large majority of that space. But again, that's something that's going to take time. And that's not something that's been budgeted for this biennium. So staff are actively brainstorming about what potentially there's conversations that are being had, some at the higher level. I've definitely have made a variety of different staff know of like, the CISU didn't debate. And the two options given in their direction is to be able to meet here or limit the number of citizen involvement committee members. But that's not a decision for me. That's the decision for the citizen.
I'm definitely going to limit our numbers. I think we're better. The more people we have, the more voices, the more diverse we are. I just don't want to limit. So, let's keep going.
Yeah, I think if we could get a little more technology in here, you and I were talking earlier before the meeting about, another daisy chain mic and stuff like that, being able to have, maybe a mic more towards that side of the room and, a mic, by a presenter and, my thought in a TV thing is it's great to have the TV up there, but the presenter can't see if they have a presentation, right? So they need to have something that's maybe on the other side of the room or somewhere in front of them to be able to see their presentation. So, yeah.
So it seems like consensus for now is this being the permanent location for the Citizen Involvement Committee. My directive is to figure out some better on vision updates. Let's have some chat. And I like to hear it. Okay, I will work. I will do my best. I will do my best with the resources that are provided. But these are conversations I've already been having. And staff are already brainstorming and kind of in the works of this was one of the solutions out of a handful. So
we could probably expect to be here next ones until they get their bill.
But yes, you should expect to be here for the next indefinite future.
Osborne.
So we'll look at the location very carefully for now on. Okay. On to Roundtable. Brian Richards, Park Place.
So the weekend before Thanksgiving, we got our plants planted and part of it, like the ivory, horse, best plants and go on as pizzas, all stuff. And
McLaughlin, Denise, and Tim.
We had an update about parks from Tom Pfister, the assistant parks director, who I just saw on the thing below. Hey, yeah, like that. We have, like Dennis, I am going to be following in his footsteps, and I'm stepping it off. And we have Amy Wilson will be coming in with Tim, and she'll be a great asset. She's really fun. We had a couple concerns at our meeting last month regarding this parks wellness location, and they're working on a good neighbor agreement with Tim and a couple other people. So that's in progress. And there was a concern about the Cigaretto Cafe, what's happening with that. And a construction company has a baby. Part of it as their office,
well, the plan initially was to use the Cigaretto as their office, and then the area behind it they wanted to develop with single family or small, low income, not low income, moderate income homes, like medium sized type of things. So that's in the open area behind, and that's kind of what the thought was. And of course, with little or no information, we had a lot of people that were expressing concerns, and so that will come up, and we'll discuss further. But we have not met the contractor, the owner at this point. We'll be doing that hopefully short, and we'll have further information. The bigger issue that came up at the meeting was it was a well-attended meeting. The big issue was the courthouse and the plans for the courthouse. We have a lot of historians and historic people that love the building, don't want to see the building go away, and are trying to figure out how they can stop it. So that's why I was curious about what the people downtown thought. But they get us, we saw the presentation here, and I expressed that to our week. So that we got some land use issues that are coming up there. Contentious at this. Even though that's not our area, it's still right next to other sites.
Okay. Ellendale, Sarah, Josh.
When I had a steering committee meeting, it wasn't very productive.
It was not productive. Oh, we have another one tomorrow. So.
What's the matter? It's not meeting food.
Okay, well, I'm not going to even ask about where on. I'll just pass it on. On to Hazel Glow. Mark, Chris.
Our membership's growing. We fill this place up. A stick. Yeah. Yeah, we had a good meeting. Happy. Just about 50 or a little under.
Wonderful. Good. I'm wonderful. It's only the pop.
That's great. Just great.
And we had Bottomless County Fire, but I would do something about safety and fire safety in the home and aging into place. And I want to be able to recommend Sunday a nice chip. I'm very sorry. It just blanked out. Get information to let out. Excellent. Excellent presentation. She's wonderful, and I've recommended to y'all. We're coming up to having January meeting and doing another bulking in the neighborhood on January 3rd. And it's going to be the challenge to do that at the poll. But nevertheless, we'll see what happens to all that. Other than that, what Mark said is, we're doing really well.
Just so proud of you guys. It's great. Daphne, Lane, Betty, Dwayne. Okay, let's have it all.
We have our annual live shows in November general meeting in Detroit.
lots of changes in the officers. Devon will be stepping down as chair, and I sold it will be our new chair moving forward. We're going to have our next steering committee meeting on December the 16th, Tuesday. And rather than meeting out here, it's going to be, as I said before, the Prince of Life Church that's actually in Gap Lake Road. And we'll give folks the chance to see facilities that that community provides in the event of a calamity. That's the long range goal. Integrated spot. I mean, a couple of fireplaces, people kitchens, run all the water. Okay, with those little ducks, I'll have to see the duck house back in action. So at least 50 of those guys up every other day. But that's it. We're carrying it out for the winter, and we're next year.
Deedeville? Dee?
Hi, yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Well, there's a little bit of delay. So I just want to let you know that our next meeting will be in March, the first Tuesday in March. And I spoke with Judy Schaefer, and she spoke with the Clayton apartments. The Clayton Moore apartments are veterans apartments over on Pleasant Avenue. We've been having a little bit of trouble. For one thing, they keep hanging things off the Heritage Trade, putting some bolts and then putting up, hammocks and then other things, hanging bikes from it. So we've had to speak with them several times because that's not a way to treat a 300-year-old oak tree that's in their care. But they are now going to give us all a 24-hour contact number. And so we're going to make copies and give it to the immediate surrounding neighbors. We don't want to be a pest because we really enjoy that apartment complex, but they do have to follow some, rules. So I think that's all I have to report. There was one other thing, but I can't remember. I'll probably remember right as we're stopping. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And Dee Dee, you said that you could hear us pretty.
Yes, I could hear the presentation very well. I can hear most of the speakers, especially our chair and you. If people lean into the microphone and speak clearly, I can hear wonderfully. This is probably out of all the rooms you have chosen, and I've been in that room personally and can't hear a thing. This has been the best audio. Leaping over and above our little city hall.
Good to know. And Joy, are you unmuted? I tried to ask you. Sorry if you're having trouble.
I'm unmuted now, yeah.
Awesome. And just to clarify, is Elyville having a meeting in February, or is it?
I'm sorry. No, it's just our planning meeting is February, but March is our general.
Okay, awesome.
Okay. South End, Bill, Kathy.
We had no meeting. The steering committee is practicing with Zoom, so I love it. There's some tech. Our next meeting's not a January, so I'm gonna.
Okay. Caulfield in Donna.
November, we had Dana Webb from Public Works come. There's, former Toll Brothers, the Oregon City Golf Course. When now that Emory gets put in, there's a lot of concern, and I will say probably anger about increased traffic. Well, that's going to do to Glen Oak Road. And this conversation, from what I understand, has been going on for years with no resolution. That's why there's anger. I had to step in and just felt bad for Dana and try to. And there's still no resolution. So we are going to, I don't know what we're going to do yet, but we're Rex strong, and we're going to stimulate to do to get some peace between the city, Rome, and the neighbors who don't want to grow.
Years ago, we had all the VOAD folks don't go on. This is kind of what's going to happen. Oh, we never heard what's kind of going to happen. What's going to happen? What's going to happen? Definitely going to happen. So to get this pretty great plan and walked away. We just been kind of like, okay, what? Because that's time or frustration we can't computer that amazing. Could they wear all these 4 or 5 years ago?
We are going to meet with Dana Webb again, have kind of small.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Follow away, and we'll see where it go with that. In January, we're very excited. We're going to be welcoming Mayor Denise Legreff, Commissioner Scott Wilson is going to come, and Spiegelvest, as well as Seth Anderson, who is the owner of Level Something Development, who is doing the old courthouse deconstruction and rebuilding. That's who we had in November. No, he's coming in. I'm so sorry. He's coming in January. And in March, I will say it's kind of, I'm so excited because it just got finalized this morning. We are having all 5, as of right now, declared candidates come for a candidate forum for State Representative House District 40. Are going to come to do a candidate forum. So it's up to the lobby.
Oh, let us know. We'll be there. It's awesome. Yeah. Danima.
What do you want to say?
We had a meeting, and we had an election. We had our Facebook page, and we actually had a person come to our meeting from the Facebook page. So we're posting on that. I thought that was a great notice way to get to people about it. Thanks. Okay. Adam.
Yes. So we have a work session and a regular meeting tomorrow. So the work session is going to be on a assessment that we contracted out to understand the stability and the structural soundness of the John Storm dock. There are conflicting opinions and reports out there about what that dock is actually able to handle, and there have been some pushes to see if we can't get that a little more active for commercial use. That would be a great thing for tourism in Oregon City, and also for people who want to travel elsewhere once we get the blocks up and running again, for people who want to travel elsewhere in the region without having to get onto the highway. So that's something that we're going to be going over tomorrow during the work session. And then during the regular meeting, it's a pretty quiet one. 2 things of note. We will have the final reading and adoption of the exclusion zone ordinance. I've been to a couple of your neighborhood associations that talked about this. This is what we're going through to try to make sure that anyone in the downtown area who is consistently causing issues, that there is some sort of public safety remedy to that. And so we will be moving forward with that. And then near and dear to my heart, we're making some adjustments to our planning commission and a historic review board appointment process. Many of you know that when I first got on the commission, one of the first things that I was pushing was to send to the voters a charter amendment that changed the planning commission and the historic review board appointments from just the mayor to the entire city commission to make sure a broader set of voices was included in a very important decision like that. And so we've had a process since that was approved by the voters, and we're just amending it a little bit because we've decided that not all of the people who apply necessarily should get an interview, just like any job interview process. And we've also discovered that some people, when they apply online, just click all the boxes and don't know what they're applying for. So we've decided that we're going to do an initial screening of the applicants and then move on to a smaller pool for the actual interview in a public meeting. So those are the 2 main updates for our regular meeting.
Scott, would you like to add anything?
I guess the only thing I'll is from our last meeting that we had, we heard loud and clear from people of Oregon City about their concerns. We're very ICE activity in Oregon City. So I don't know if that's coming up here in individual meetings. And so we definitely hear and understand concerns for, folks here in Oregon City. And I want to say, just as in, appreciate concern that both have, appreciate us looking out for neighbors. I appreciate, certainly looking out for folks that are targeted racial profile. Yeah.
Is there anything else?
I don't want to share the name. My brain finally clicked. It's Tammy. I should meet her at Clackamas County Fire District. I had this representative, and she's Tammy.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
I was just wondering about the ECA ARC fix.
They applied or they submitted for funding from the legislature and they did not get it. And so my understanding is that they're still trying to find the remaining money then will be required for them to
acquire from the Marine Corps of Engineers, and to make some improvements that will be necessary for it to be up and ready. So I don't know what the ETA is, and I don't think they do either. It's just dependent or from the Lucas. I do not know about the association.
Oh, yo, John. I went to pay for Mr. Dennis for all your years on the stage. Yeah, no, no. Something in the city, your labor, and you're modeling all these other things. Besides this, but, Billy. And now I'm usually walking with up the side on her. I've been here
I've been here 6 years.
Sure, that a lot of times. Been here,
Linda, I was going one thing, if I could. We mentioned this, thought we were going to do this in November, but the clean out of the neighborhood office, and I know Betty said she was interested in. So we're talking about, we couldn't do it in November without doing it and I'm not sure that maybe December or 1st of January follow up.
Let me number it.
Yeah, but I'm just wondering how many people would want to be involved in that, because I've talked to the artists of garbage, and they're going to supply us those recycle bins, but they want to know how many, and I honestly don't know how many people are interested in actually getting in there and cleaning out all the old paper documents, because there's some stuff in there from way back when we first started off. So if anybody interested, if you're interested, just let me know. That's it.
I would be interested too.
Okay. So there's probably, we got 4 or 5 people that I'm selling 4 or 5 items down there, and we'll probably sell.
And if you send me that information, I'm happy to send it out to not only the CIC members, but all of the neighborhood association contacts that share.
And my feeling is it's probably better to do it 1st of January or rather than any time in December. It's just too not getting that LA. So surprise. I'll bring it back up in December. We'll plan it for you.
Thanks. And in a January meeting, we will be having elections. So that will be for chair, vice chair, and assessor. Dennis, yeah, we have to do this. Yeah. Yeah. And if there's anything else, then we will see you January 5th, 2026. Okay, for now.